I believe that the ACT and SAT in the admissions process is very important. It's an important part of a student's academic profile. Colleges do view it as a good indicator of how a student will handle the rigors of college. While many schools are test optional, there are a number of high tier or top tier colleges that have not adopted a permanent test optional policy. So it's important that a student is prepared to take the exam and that they do take the exams. In addition, regardless of whether or not a college is test optional, when a student submits SAT scores or ACT scores that are above the college's average for acceptance, it can only help their chances of acceptance as well. The biggest tip that I could give to students preparing for the SAT and ACT exams are to practice, practice, practice. You want to start early in the process. Start by taking a diagnostic test where you can see your strengths and areas in need of improvement. In addition, you want to set aside a designated time where you can actually practice and stick to that schedule as well. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. And as I mentioned, the more practice tests that a student does, the more comfortable they become with the exam, the more repeat types of problems that they'll see, so they know what to expect. And when you get more comfortable with the exam, that's where timing gets better. A student is able to pace themselves better when they understand the whole process. Once you have the timing down, the next most important part, I think, is to build stamina. It's one thing to be able to handle one section of an exam and do very well on it. But then when you have to do multiple sections in a row, that's when students start to get tired and they're not as sharp and they're making some more mistakes. So once you have the confidence down and the comfort level down and your timing is much better, that's when you want to start doing multiple sections in a row, just to build up that stamina and that endurance so that you can stay strong through the whole length of the exam. The best way to get into the frame of mind for taking the SAT and ACT, first of all, is to breathe. It's to relax. Know that you have the option of taking this exam as many times as you need to if you choose. So that takes the pressure off of the actual test itself. In addition, making sure that you're prepared. Not taking the actual exam until you feel that you're scoring well consistently on practice exams. There are a number of common mistakes that students can make as they're approaching the exam. One of the biggest common mistakes is cramming the night before. You absolutely do not want to do that. The more prepared you are, the more comfortable you are, and the more that you can ensure your success. Another common mistake is not to get a good night's sleep, not to have breakfast in the morning. It's very important that students are awake and fresh when they take the exam, and having breakfast just gives you that extra energy that you need. Another common mistake is not to prepare all of your supplies the night before. It's important to make sure that you have a handful of number 2 pencils sharpened and ready to go, that you have a calculator and backup batteries, or at least a charged calculator, and also to prepare some water and snacks to bring with you to take during the breaks of the exam. For students taking the SAT or ACT on the testing day, I think it's really important just to breathe, to relax, to not be concerned with the students in the room, just focus on yourself. It's important to pace yourself, know the timing for each section, know how many minutes you have for a reading passage or a grammar passage so that you can stay on track and on pace. Go with your first instinct. Usually your first instinct is correct as well. And just remember to breathe. Students often ask if they should take the SAT or the ACT exam. Which of the two would colleges favor? The truth is that colleges value each exam equally. So whichever exam the student feels that they can perform better on is the test that they should go with. My suggestion would be to try a practice SAT and try a practice ACT as well, and see which test is more comfortable for the student.